Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, as per your respective time zones. On behalf of entire EVSys Mastech Managed Services team, would like to welcome you all to this 22C Benefits and Compensation Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as part of this quarter release which Oracle provides to us. My name is Hardik Patel. I'm an operations manager here at EVSys Mastech Managed Services team. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague, Rohit Filsinghe, who's part of our vast HCM team at EVSys Mastech. He's been serving us as a solution lead in the North America region at the moment, and today he'll take us through all the benefits and compensation updates for 22C quarter release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes, and we'll make sure that we also leave some time to answer all your questions you may have. Before we move to today's agenda, let's have a quickly look at the important disclaimer. We'd like to convey your approach towards Oracle updates in a very simpler method. We'll be taking you through vital analyses for the 22C updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. Also, we'll sync you on any bugs or known issues if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session. So as mentioned earlier, please do ask your questions through chat or a question panel. We'll try and answer them during the session and at the end of the session as well. We have a panelist available with us during the session. I'll be keeping an eye on your questions as well. This is to give you a glimpse on how we have crafted the structure of this session. So the first thing what you see is a list of new features coming into 22C, detailing on features, so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. And next one is what are the business benefits and important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are four components wherein we've done in-depth analysis, which we're going to present to you today. The first one is impact level analysis, which demonstrates the impact on the end user. If it's a low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. If it's a high, then we need to offer regression testing. And the second one, which is we all are aware that there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And the third one highlights the nature of the feature. So there would be certain configuration which may be required, and some can be used without any changes at all. And the last one, which is a quick win. This term, we use it to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and efforts to make use of this feature. So in a moment, Rohit will take you through in detail. But before I hand it over to Rohit, would quickly like to note down with a quick poll that which industry does your organization belongs to. It would be great help if you can help us fitting there. This will help us crafting more fruitful content going forward. We'll be closing the poll in 10 to 15 seconds, so it'd be great to have your feedback there. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you for your input there on the poll. I'll be closing the poll now. And with this, I'll be immediately handing over to my colleague, Rohit. Please unmute yourself, and stage is all yours to begin for today's session on benefits and compensation. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance today.
Yeah, thank you, Hardik, for the wonderful introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone on board joining this particular session. So as Hardik mentioned, this session will acquaint you with benefits and compensations, new features coming up in the 22C. But prior to me taking you through all these features, we have done some analysis of what these features are and how many of them are there. So there are in total 31 new features in compensation and benefits. There are 24 features which requires no configuration at all. You can see that in the chart. There are 4 which requires some bit of configuration, and there are 3 which are OTBI enhancement. So essentially, we have divided the session into these 3 new types of features, and then we will close out the sessions with the Q&As. So please feel free to ask any questions in the question panel or in the comments box. We will take up the questions at the end, but please do not hesitate to ask the questions in between as and when you get as and when you want to ask the question. Okay. So first we'll be starting off this session with new features which are quick wins which require no configuration at all. Okay. So the first one is from the benefit side. Now under the benefits, we now have under the life event something called as an eligibility tab. This eligibility tab will help the self-assigned life events to be shown only to those people who meet the eligibility. So this is a much desired feature. It was not available in previous updates or previous releases. So as you can see, it is a quick win. You do not have to do anything, but you just have to set up the eligibility. And based on that eligibility, the employees will be able to see the self-assigned life event on their screens. You can see how the eligibility needs to be set up. The same config is also now added to the benefit setup diagnostic test report. So when you run this diagnostic test, this setup data on the eligibility profile on the life event will also get outputted as a result of that. The next feature, which is a much desired feature in the benefits, is an improved version of the rate spreadsheet. So whoever has worked on this particular thing knows how cumbersome it was to work on these spreadsheets, because legal employer, legislative data group, and rate display type, these fields were mandatory. But now after this particular update, these fields have become optional. So you can basically search more things because as these are optional. Okay. And 3 new search criterias have been added, which are participants enter value during enrollment, the range of rows, and option names. So you can basically narrow down your search on the basis of these new fields, and because the other fields have become optional now. So this enhancement, it basically allows you to do a multitude of updates without getting the timeout errors. And one more additional thing that has come up with this is that it will also show you the search criteria that you have used for searching the rates. So all in all, a win-win situation for the customers as well as the consultants working on this particular activity. The next is the tax year display in HSA and FSA calculations. So this feature was already there, but the tax year field was not available. Now the tax year field is available, and you can forecast the next year's payment for your health saving account or flexible spending account in a much seamless manner. So the tax year contains each of the years that you want to show to your users. So if they want to forecast for 2022, the next year, or the following year, whenever the information is available, just make sure that you do the setups, and it is immediately available for your participants in the open enrollment. Again, coming from the benefit side is the active plans, plan types, and options by default. So whenever you configure a program, you used to see a lot of inactive plans, because when things change, when new plans come in and the old plans gets obsolete, you have to basically inactivate the plans, right? And those inactivated plans used to show up on the screen. But now with this update, you will only see the active plans by default. If you want to see the inactive plans, you can always go to view, and from there you can basically also enable the inactive plans. But it's good that it only shows you the active plans, and it is easier to manage that way. One more important feature from the benefits is that once you created an option and you used a date, let's say we always make the mistake of not changing the effective start date to 1/1/1950 or 1951. We immediately start creating it, and the system creates it starting from the effective date, that is today's date, system date, right? But now you can move the dates for the options and the option in plan as shown in the screenshot over here to any date in the past. Okay. So because of this, the benefit administrators, if they have made a mistake in let's say creating the option or option in plan from an incorrect date, they can move that to a standardized date, let's say 1951. So again, no need of any configuration, just change the effective start date and you are all set. From the compensation side of the things, enhancements has been made to the compensation spotlight, specifically in the area where you want to show how the approvals are progressing. So in this particular screen, you used to see the contributions or the you can say the individual compensations only when they were approved. But now with this particular update, depending on whether you are the initiator or the approver of the transaction, the submitted proposals and something that is not approved can also be seen, and actions can be taken from that link which says see how it's going. So you don't have to wait for the transaction to be approved. Instead, you can take an action from see how it's going if you are the initiator or the approver. If you are somebody else who does not have any authority to see that, you'll still see a blank over there. But for the initiator and approver, this is a much needed enhancement on the compensation spotlight. The individual compensation input values are now available in offer read-only pages. So the individual compensations which are tied to the offer pages, it also lets you now see the input values corresponding to the element. Okay, so you don't have to drill down or edit the offer. Previously, you had to basically edit the offer and go to that compensation proposal and then see what is there in that. But now you can simply see it under the other compensation, and it is much more visible and basically available on the screen itself without you having to edit the offers or anything. So again, this lets the recruiter easily see the compensation details of the employees or of the candidates. The simulate salary range. Now, users will have the ability to do a salary range simulation, which will help them in troubleshooting a lot of areas. You can also do a what if analysis. So this simulate salary range will show you any issues with your grade rates, something that is attached to the salaries. Okay, you all know that grade rates are attached to the salary, and if something is missing, if grade rate is not attached to the salary basis, or if grade is not available in the grade rate, or if the differential is not set up properly, it will show you those issues when you click on the salary range simulation. Okay, so again, a good feature without which will help you in troubleshooting and understanding what is going wrong with your setups. Under the workforce compensation plans, earlier in the previous updates, you used to see just the currency code, but now you will be able to see either of these three. You can either enable your currency code, your currency name, or currency code and name. Previously, only currency code was displayed, so sometimes the users, they struggled as to which currency is this referring to, because when there are a large number of currencies, you have to keep up with the codes that are there, right? So it enables the users to basically identify the currencies their workers are paid in a much easier and seamless manner. The same enhancement has been done for the country column display on the workforce compensation sheet. Instead of the country code name, you can now see country code or country name or country code and name both. Okay, so you need to enable one of them and you're all set. So very easy, no need of any configuration, just select this option and you are all set. A much needed feature in the compensation is the copy dynamic column configuration. So the dynamic columns, as you all know, is something that you used to set up when you are configuring the workforce compensation plans. But now these columns can also be copied. You can see the copy icon in my screenshot. It's available over here. You can copy the configuration that you have done for one of the columns from either the same plan, or you can also refer another plan and another column which has a dynamic column or dynamic setup done to the current plan. So again, this feature helps the compensation administrators to easily copy the dynamic configuration, and which makes it easier to set up the same. Right. Next feature that I would like to talk about is the prevent allocations when budget are null. So earlier there was no control before 22C for the managers. Even if the budgets are not assigned to them, they could still do their allocations and submit the compensation worksheets. But now, because of this particular configuration option, you can just select one of them, which is error preventing save or error preventing save and submit, and it will prevent the managers from submitting any allocations before the budget has been issued. So no manager can take any action on the basis of just let's say the worksheet being available to them. They have to still wait for the budgets, and then only they can start their allocations. So again, a much needed feature, and ensure that manager do not start the process immediately as soon as the worksheet is available to them. The budget pool configuration has been simplified because it has now moved to a budget pool dialog box, and this has moved to a drill down page. So again, it helps you in visualizing all the tasks related to the budget in one single screen, and it is available as a drill down page. So your compensation manager or compensation administrator can make configurations very easily because it is all available in one place. Similarly, the compensation component has also moved to a drill down page. So you can see over here, initially you had to go to a separate place, but now it is all available under one drill down. From the compensation side, again, when there are batch processes and when we used to submit the batch processes previously, it used to submit immediately. But now there are warnings before the system submits the batch process, so that you can take a calculated call whether you have entered the parameters correctly, whether you are all set. So it's just a warning message. If you click on no, it basically submits the transaction. If you click on yes, it will again take you to the parameter screen before you can make, after you make any changes, you can submit it again. The performance tab layout in administer workers on the compensation side has been updated. Initially, it used to be available like this, like one below the other, but now it is available side by side. So you can see the configurations all in one place instead of just scrolling down. So a minor update, but yeah, it makes the design look a little bit cleaner on the administer workers, the performance tab. Support has been added for the OTBI dashboards. So these dashboards can be added to the compensation work area, and this uses the page composer to add the OTBI details. Initially or previously, you can say the support was only for table style prompts, wherein you can only select either yes or no, and it acted as a toggle switch. But now you can add a host of different dashboards and different analysis and different analysis and different prompts, and merge that into a dashboard. So using the page composer and this OTBI content gives you a huge deal of flexibility to basically publish any dashboard that you want. The log files have been updated to include the run grade step progression and synchronize grade step processes. So whenever you run the configuration details log, it has a section for these two processes. So whenever you are troubleshooting any errors or anything is not working as expected, you can always run this particular log file, and it gives you these additional configurations which are executed as part of the run grade step progression and synchronize grade step progression process. Certain things have been removed from the 22C. One of the features is population of salary from the progression grade ladder. This is still available in the classic pages for hire an employee and add a contingent worker, but from other classic pages like the employment, it is no longer available because they do not have a compensation or salary screen. So we urge the users to make the transition from classic to responsive UI. If you are still using the classic UI, make sure that you gradually transition yourself as well as your workforce to the responsive UI, because the support is still there on the responsive UI, but not on the classic one. Okay, and gradually the classic UI will have less and lesser support, right, on this one. Okay, so from the import composites on the compensation side, you can now see miscellaneous columns in the import composites. Previously, these were not available. They were only available on the loads and in the table, but now you can actually see them. So whenever you are doing any research or uploading any third-party data into the system, the miscellaneous columns are available in the import composites, and you can see them as well. For the stocks, now other person assignment types are now supported. This means that now the stock grants can be loaded and managed for different assignment types like contingent workers, pending workers, and non-workers. Previously, it was only available for employees. Now, as you all know that in the organizations, there may be some contingent workers, maybe some pending workers who may be eligible for stocks, and you have to do the stock processing for them immediately as soon as they join, or even if they are in contingent worker state, right? So this enhancement allows the board members and other contingent workers who are not working as a full-time employee to also have stock grants. This is an update similar to the previous one that I discussed. Whenever you submit a batch process for the total compensation statements or any compensation statement in general, you will see a review or a warning message that if you want to submit, just review the parameters. If you select no over here, it will be submitted. If you select yes over here, it will take you to the parameters, and you will have one more chance to review the parameters. From the total compensation statement side, initially the proration was only available for the salary element entries, but now this particular feature has been extended to any element entry. And if you are creating your compensation statements on the basis of an element entry, and you want the proration to happen on the basis of when that element entry went into effect, then this particular configuration that has been highlighted, the allow proration, you can either select yes or no, and it will enable the proration for even those element entries. So this improves the accuracy of the total compensation statement that we have, and the salary as well as the element entries are prorated. So here is an example. You can see over here, based on the salary history, your and the benefit details on the right hand side, you can see that the proration gets enabled, and you can see in your contribution the proration is actually calculating different amounts and not $5,000, right, in the screenshot which is below. So you can enable proration even on the element entries now, and it is not just restricted to salary. There are some page improvements from the total compensation side, wherein when you edit the compensation items or configure the compensation items, it used to show you a vertically scrolling list of legislative data groups, but now it is now available as a searchable list. Okay, so you can search for it, and it improves the visibility and the ability of the users to actually see the items in the legislative data group drop down in a more user-friendly way. So here is an example of the same that we discussed previously. Now we will move to the new features, which are quick wins, but which requires some bit of configuration. So one from the benefit side is that now the benefits allows you to store benefit related policy documents, rate sheets, and summary on the plan itself. and this can be done on the edit plan or program under the additional configuration under the documents area. So whichever policy or plan summary detail you want to store, which is let's say being shared by the vendor, you can now upload them on the plan configuration documents, and these documents will be stored on the plan and program. So again, something that requires a little bit of configuration, but it is a quick win because you do not have to do any other steps. You just enable or upload the document and it will be available. This is just additional screenshot of how this needs to be achieved. Then again, an excellent feature for the benefit administrators is to now group the wave options together in confirmation and benefit summary page. So now you can basically combine or show all the wave coverages together in the benefit summary page at the very top of your screen. Okay, so initially you used to see in the order in which your train stops or in the order in which you are enrolling, but now you can have all the plans which are waived grouped together at the top, so that the participants can get a clear view what they have not elected or what they have waived, so they can revisit their choices as soon as they see this page. So configuration needs to be done like this. So on the self-service configuration under the plan configuration, you can just enable this checkbox, which is display waived enrollments on the confirmation and summary page in a separate section, and it will start showing the wave coverages at the top of your screen in the confirmation and summary page. Very important feature, so please take a note of this one. From the individual compensation side, now you can mandate or you can make the submission compulsory for your individual compensation plans. The approvers can also see the attachments when they are deciding to approve or reject the proposal, and after the transaction is approved, the employee as well as the HR can see the document that was mandated and that was attached to the additional compensation, sorry, the individual compensation transaction in the document of records. If you delete this individual compensation proposal, then the document of record corresponding to this will also get deleted. But a very important feature, because you can now choose if the employee needs to mandatorily submit a document whenever he or she is requesting for something, or if the manager needs to mandatorily submit or upload a document for the employee if they want to propose an individual compensation. So making a document compulsory, make sure that you're not getting any ad hoc proposals, but only genuine ones, and you can control it by making the configuration changes. Now, there are enhanced assignment selection for grade step progression batch processes. So now there is an option on the assignment screen. If you select this option, or if you just make it no, then you can basically exclude an assignment from the grade step progression process, but not exclude that from the synchronized grade step process. Previously, this was not available. So if you excluded them from the one process, from the run grade step progression process, it automatically got excluded from the other one as well. But now you have an option. So just make sure that this particular attribute on the assignment is set appropriately. There are a few enhancements on the OTBI front as well. So let me take you through that. So there are new subject areas for the external data related coming from the third party and legacy applications for things like pension, annuity, and other stuff. So this particular subject area helps or includes people's data from the external or legacy systems. So make sure that the external data real-time compensation subject area is used for reporting on these data from the legacy or third-party systems. You might be aware of salary simple components and salary with components. So now a folder has been added for salary simple components in the subject areas to report on the new salary basis that use these standard components. So it just enhances your reporting capabilities, and you can now do the reporting on these salary simple components, and it is available under the compensation salary details real time, the salary details real time, and the salary history details real time. So make sure you use these new folders and these new attributes in the compensation subject areas. Filtering out individual compensation plans from workforce compensation. So there were two subject areas: compensation workforce compensation real time and workforce compensation budgets real time. They used to show the individual compensation plans, whereas we should not be seeing them in these reports, because these subject areas are exclusively for the workforce compensation, right? Not for the individual compensation. So now when you run these reports prepared from these subject areas, developed from these subject areas, you don't have to worry about individual compensation plans appearing in the report. You will only see the uh, plans which are workforce compensation ones, not the individual ones. So just helps you in filtering out the individual compensation from your reporting. Okay, so now it is time for the Q&As. So I'll see if there are any questions in the chat.
No, I think there is one. I think Praveen might have asked. Praveen, can we check if Gota panel is also available?
So there was one question around how the webinar content will be shared post this webinar.
Okay, so I'll be taking care of that. So we'll be sending you a link with a thank you email, wherein if you click on that, you'll be able to see the test scripts, all the previous ones, and also recording and the PDF presentations as well. With a single click, you'll be able to access everything there. So any other questions, Praveen, if you can see that?
So second question is around benefit policies, Rohit, for you. When loading the documents from the providers, are they then available to view by the employee who has that benefit?
This is currently available for the administrators to store it on the plan so that they can see the configurations and see the plan policies on the plan itself. Not available for the employees as of now. For the employees, we still have to upload these policies to a certain place and then provide them the link.
Okay. There's no other questions apart from this.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, Roy, for the wonderful insights. So before you all leave us, we'd like to have a quick feed poll wherein we can capture your area of interest, whether it's technology innovation, managed services, value-based analytics, or Clyde 4.0. And if you need any of the information, any of these subjects, you can also reach out to the dedicated project managers or need a one-to-one session. We can arrange that for you. Thank you so much for the input there. Closing the poll. And we've had a wonderful series on 20C, this webinar. We've got only one session left, which is coming up in a few minutes only, which is Project Portfolio Management PPM session. So once again, I would like to repeat you that we'll be sending you recording of this session. It will be available at a single tap, and along with the PDF presentations and test scripts as well. So once again, we'd like to thank you everyone for your time. And if you do have even a question at a later stage, please do reach out to the service manager or support manager for your respective region, for your respective area. So once again, thank you everyone for your time. But just the last question we have it for you is, how would you rate today's session before you all leave us again? Please rate the overall experience in today's session. So it'd be great help if you can give us feedback. We can improve based on your feedback, please. Thank you. And just a very last one, would it be possible to tell us that have you attended any of the previous advisory sessions, please? With the answer yes or no. Thank you, and we won't trouble you now. We're done for today's session, and we'd like to once again thank you everyone for being part of this and for providing your valuable time. So I'll be closing the poll, and yep, thank you everyone. We'll be closing today's session.
Thank you.